Researchers in San Antonio are paving the way for possible treatments against Parkinson's disease. Eyewitness News reporter Sharon Coe explains how a specific monkey species is helping them do just that.
These small marmosets are more than cute. They're playing a huge role in Parkinson's disease research.
Only treatment we have is treating the symptoms.
Texas Biomedical Research Institute Associate Scientist Marcel Dottie says the monkeys are an effective model to understand the complex disease. The marmosets were injected with a neurotoxin to mimic symptoms of the disease, and their researchers track them with a Fitbit-like device.
It's a small device that measures activities of the animal during nighttime and daytime.
What they found was that marmosets not only exhibited tremors and slow movement, but non-motor symptoms like sleep disturbances and cognitive impairment.
So now that we can model these non-motor symptoms, we really wanted to highlight it to people who do, or scientists that try to develop therapies, especially for these non-motor symptoms, that you will be able to track them in an easy way and also very efficient way.
Sharon Coe, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.